it's important that we talk about this because we've seen what has happened when you don't really sort of pay attention to these things in terms of like what happened to Acorn and other organizations that have been targeted in this way. And I know that you sit on the board, I think, of Planned Parenthood in Ohio, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. Yes.
And so I wanted to talk to you about this because we have one of those situations where, and it seems like this a an entity was formed, like an LLC,
Yep.
and a guy basically created a fictional company
Like a
for
bio.
2 years and went around to like these these conferences and whatnot as a way of sort of laying the groundwork to do an undercover video scam on executives at Planned Parenthood. There was obviously the requisite editing and whatnot. And there's also, frankly, just sort of like taking stuff that is perfectly that is perfectly legal and typical and making it seem nefarious. There's a lot of that going on. But now we have, Boehner's talking about defunding Planned Parenthood. We have a bill that was out there that was supposedly going to provide family planning services to veterans and military personnel that had to be scrapped because of this. Tell us what this is all about with Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, look, I mean, we know what's happened, as you pointed out, Acorn, remember, with Move On. There have been a number of these attempts by the Breitbart crew and O'Keefe and these people, and these guys, people are tied to them. So these people, by definition, are fraudulent and dishonestly and deceptively edit videos. And O'Keefe is a borderline criminal I think he was convicted, right? He took a plea.
I don't know if he was convicted. I'm not sure exactly.
Did he take a plea for what he did in Mary Landrew's office when he bugged her office?
Oh, yes, yes.
So, I mean, we're dealing with completely dishonest individuals to begin with. We know, remember the Shirley Sherrod video and how they edit these videos. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, this is, if you have to follow the breadcrumbs with this stuff to take from an old tale. You follow the breadcrumbs in terms of what does the right do? Well, they attack power centers on the left, right? They made tort reform a big thing, and the McDonald's case and all of that. I know you had Susan Saladoff on your show way back when. I did PR for her film, Hot Coffee, which is a great film, by the way, because they realized that trial lawyers gave a lot of money to Democrats and at the same time went after their friends in business. So perfect thing to do. And they trumped up all this stuff, no pun intended, of course, and they tried to pass tort reform, which they did in a number of states, to hurt trial lawyers. Same thing more recently with trying to fabricate reasons to go after unions. They target power centers. So Planned Parenthood is something that used to be a very bipartisan organization. Barry Goldwater was on the board for a while, and you'd find numerous other Republicans who were supporters of Planned Parenthood, including the Bush family, the older members of the Bush family, the Portman family at one point here in Ohio. But they now view it as something that is, they donate money to progressive candidates and causes through the political arm, and they know it's a way to fire up the crazies among their troops, just to create some video and make it seem like people are selling, body parts, and things like that. So they deceptively edited this video to make it seem, and when you saw the longer form video, you saw that they made it sound exactly the opposite. Is that it is legal for there to be tissue donations, because doing research on tissue, like just the way I can donate organs when I pass away, doing this kind of research is something that helps all of us. It's not allowed to be sold. And frankly, in some states it's not even allowed to be. In Ohio, for example, you can't even donate or give it, but in a number of others you can. So so basically they set this up to try to make this look like this grisly kind of black market that doesn't exist.
Right.
I mean, it may exist, but Planned Parenthood's not involved in it. And they deceptively edited this, and you can tell the politicians we know now knew about this for months. This thing's a year old. They knew about it for months, and they all sprang into action with their press releases right after this video came out. Mike DeWine, former senator, current attorney general of this state, right away, we're going to investigate Planned Parenthood, and he's been an anti-choice nut who is traveling around on the anti-birth control circuit trying to get that case in front of the Supreme Court, the Hobby Lobby case, to take away people's birth control. So the zealots on the other side, this is what they've been doing, and and it's happened in a number of other states with attorneys general and governors calling for this, and you're seeing it in Congress. They have to create this kind of stuff, just like they have to find all sorts of crazy things on the left because they're on the negative side of all of these issues. I mean, the majority of people are pro-choice, and it's a strong majority, right? I mean, believe it. If you count people who believe in some restrictions, but certainly are basically in favor of early abortions, then the kinds of things we all wish that we could do to prevent women from having to wait later and be in more difficult situations, then you get a very strong majority. But these guys, of course, are doing just the opposite, right? I mean, they claim they're quote unquote pro-life. We don't have to go into their love of the death penalty and bombing Iraq and guns and every other reason why they're not pro-life. But if you were pro-life and you didn't want a woman to be forced economically into a situation where she might have to abort a child so that she could continue working because that's the only way she can support herself, you'd support paid family leave now, wouldn't you? If you didn't want a woman to get in that situation to begin with, you'd look at all the.
Oh, right. Well, you wouldn't even attack contraceptive to begin with. I mean,
right.
look, the bottom line is
say abstinence education it fails
yes.
miserably.
I mean, look,
let's call it what it is. It's Palin education.
But let's cut to the quick here. I mean, the bottom line is that we know what inspires these people is this notion that women need to be punished for having sex. And their punishment in their mind is like paying the piper, like the consequences of sex is that you are forced to, if you get pregnant, you are forced to become a mother. And that is what it comes down to. Now, that aside, we should also say that, look, there are, the fact of the matter is that abortions are legal. They are a function of a woman having the sovereignty over her own body and her own destiny and saying, like, this is what I either decide not to become a mother or I do. And at the end of the day, one of two things are going to happen with the tissue involved in ending a pregnancy. And that is it's going to be disposed of through the medical procedures that they dispose of tissue, or it's going to be donated with some compensation to cover the costs of shipping and preserving that tissue in a way so that it can be used. And it's going to be used to help the health of people and of people who have been born. And so that's basically it. And so this, they're trying to make a controversy out of this thing. And in the context of, this is one of those situations where, thank you, Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has eaten up all the oxygen.
That's exactly true. Donald Trump's taken the energy away from their attack.
Absolutely, because he's eaten up all the oxygen.
And I think that's one of the reasons they did this. They released it when they did, by the way. I think they were hoping, with all the negative attention to Donald Trump, to move attention away from that, so people wouldn't be paying as close attention to that. And it shows how mystical the negative attention ability of Donald Trump is, that he can even get the media to stop looking at this story. So you're right. I mean, I'll just put a bow on this by saying I was listing various ways, but every single way you could lessen the number of abortions out there, the way Scandinavian countries, other Western European countries have, to great effect. I'll give one quick case. In Colorado, a private donor gave $23 million so that 30,000 IUD implants could be provided for lower-income women. The abortion rate between 2009 and 2013 went down 42% among teenagers, and the teenage unintended pregnancy rate went down 40%. It's easy. We know how to, just like what I said with the guns.
Yes, but I mean, look, it's quite
if all
clear.
they cared about was abortion, we could solve that tomorrow.
Right,
it's not
of
what
course.
They care about. They're
right.
liars.
But those young women who were having sex, they weren't taking the consequences of it. I mean, we are. I am quite convinced that there are people who are are genuinely concerned about reducing the number of abortions. I mean, and I would also like to reduce the number of all medical procedures if we could do that. But at the end of the day, that's not what motivates the vast majority, or at least a large, a significant amount of these people. It is to control women because of the way that they perceive the world, that women should not be going around there getting all sexy time without any consequences, because then it's the devil has taken over, and there's no longer the proper respect to daddy and all that. I mean, it's all just
the
sort
stuff that these guys have nightmares about, especially white men losing power, which is why they need their large penis guns too.
Yes,
I'll
exactly.
just say to people quickly, and let's go. We can move to the next topic. I just want to say, I mean, obviously, I'm a board member, but I'm a board member for that reason, because I care so much about this issue. It's not you don't get paid to be on the Planned Parenthood board, and now you get a lot of flack for it. So I would just ask anybody listening, whatever you can do, both if it's emotional support, if it's moral support, or if it's financial support your Planned Parenthood, because we're the last line between you and Rick Santorum.